Welcome to our podcast, the Hidden Gems podcast. So, to give you a brief introduction, our club is a club that empowers female entrepreneurs, female pioneers, especially in this field of STEM. And today we have a very special guest with us. So, Alexa, would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Alexa. I'm a sophomore at Harvard. I'm studying physics. And when I heard about this podcast, I felt like it fits in really well with my interest in promoting women in STEM. And I also love talking about my research and my work in physics. So I can't wait to hear what questions you guys have.
Yeah, when I also found Alexa, I definitely thought, okay, this is the right person to talk about, to inspire lots of other young girls to learn about physics and other fields of STEM. And we were definitely also inspired by your research and your work. So we were definitely excited to talk to you about your work as well. So let's just dive right into the questions.
Awesome.
Right off the bat, we want to hear the start of your innovative journey, right? So, could you please tell us what first sparked your passion for physics?
Yeah, I was really fortunate to go to this amazing summer camp called RSI, stands for Research Science Institute. Anyone of your viewers who don't know about it should look it up and plan to apply when they are going to be rising seniors in high school. So this is a program for high schoolers, and they accept people from all over the world. But it is based in Boston at MIT or Cambridge at MIT, and it's all people who are in between their junior and senior years of high school. And I did this program, and I liked STEM before it, but it really like convinced me this is what I want to do with my life. Something in STEM. And particularly, it helped me choose physics because going into RSI, I thought I was more interested in biology research because I felt like it had more of a direct impact on like people's lives in terms of health and medicine. But the first week of RSI, you take classes in multiple different fields of STEM. And I took a biology and a physics class, and I liked the physics class so much, and even more than the biology class. And it showed me how physics could be applied to have really real world impact as well. And it was just so cool. I really loved the professor of that class too. She was a woman, and I was like, I just want to be just like her when I grow up.
That's just an amazing opportunity to have. Like to be able to be so flexible with your chosen fields as well. I think that's also a really good strength to have as a researcher because you can't always be concrete and just structured with the type of research you're doing. So, right
Mhm.
now you're studying applied physics, which is one of the most important fields of the future. How's it like being an applied physicist? Like, what do you mainly research?
Yeah, great question. There's so many different like subtopics within applied physics. I feel like almost anything that exists has like a physics aspect to it. So you can consider applying physics like across biology, chemistry, computer science, math, almost anything. But my particular lab does biophysics and material science, another field that I didn't mention before. And my project so far in this lab has been on that material science side. So my project is trying to make plastics that can be reflective to UV light without having pigments in them that make them UV reflective. Because as I've learned in my lab, those pigments that are put into plastic to make them UV reflective make them almost impossible to recycle. So this becomes like a sustainability challenge when all this pigmented plastic has to just end up in landfills instead of being recycled. So if we can make plastic using like optical physics and nanostructuring of materials, we can make plastic that's a pure plastic without pigments, but that still fulfills this UV reflective property that is important for like a lot of applications you might think of, like sunglasses, windows, um, packaging of food products that are damaged by UV light. If we can make plastic that blocks UV light but without pigments, so it can still be recycled, that would be great. So that is my research goal currently. And that's my particular area of applied physics currently, but like I said, there's so many different things you can apply physics to. That's also why I love it as a field because I feel like it's very flexible, like you were saying before.
That sounds
That's
really exciting.
yeah.
Um, so so when you're saying that um you work in a lab, that means that it must be really you must be really busy because like you have like all of your studies plus the lab plus like everything else. So is it hard to maintain the work-life balance within that environment, would you say?
Yes, I would say it's a challenge and I face today especially because it's a Sunday and Sundays I feel like I have to catch up on all the work that I haven't finished yet for the week so that I can start the next week not behind. So just today I was trying to balance how much time do I spend on my research versus my classes. And I think there's no clear cut answer of like how to manage it, but my plan for next semester to try to do a little better than I did this semester is to take fewer classes and take classes only that I think are like directly applicable to what I want to do in the future. Because this semester I tried to explore like some different areas. Like I'm taking a psychology class and a history class, and that's great as far as learning for the sake of learning and getting a broad, well rounded liberal arts education. But I think now that I'm going to be in my sophomore spring, I should focus more on goals for the future and kind of cut down on excess things. So um, I'd say, like, as a general time management strategy, my advice to people is usually like find a couple things that you can live without in your life and drop them so that you can focus more on what really matters to you. And I did not follow that advice very well this semester because I took too many classes that I did not need. So next semester, more focused, fewer classes, and hopefully that helps me balance research and classes a bit with a bit less stress.
We're all guilty of taking too many classes and putting too much work on ourselves and
Yes,
realizing that a bit too late. So no worries.
exactly. It's so hard not to. There's just like so much to do in this world and not enough time. Only 24 hours in a day.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, we all feel that. And I feel like this kind of connects to how you actually took a summer's course in learning about Spanish and learning more about
Yeah.
tradition and culture, which kind of shows how much of an all-rounded student you are and how much, like especially the young viewers that are probably watching this right now, they should also know that, researchers, we're diverse people. We need to also kind of include ourselves in different types of education, different fields that aren't just focused on STEM. So, as I said, like many of our viewers right now, are just young, enthusiastic girls or boys dreaming to be pioneers. So even you've just given us your best advice in time management, but what would then be your biggest advice to them as just a researcher who wants to like kind of like become the next generation of technology and innovation, but you just have these things to do and you just have to like go kind of break through that limit set by yourself so far?
Yeah, great question. I think my biggest piece of advice, just on the whole, for research and for classes and for life, is find really good collaborators that make your work more fun and easier. And when it becomes like a collaborative effort that you can enjoy, it's a lot easier to get through tasks and through the day. So almost like choose the spaces that you want to be in and the work you want to do based on who else is there and try to optimize for the people that you want in your life. Like my lab right now, sometimes it's very challenging and a lot of work and I don't understand what I'm doing too well and I wonder if like this isn't the right lab for me, but I really love my mentor in that lab and I feel like that's what's keeping me there. Because it's really hard to find a good mentor sometimes. So when you find one, I think stick with them. And then also like my fellow students, I try to seek out the people who I feel like I work really well with. And let them like influence what classes I take and what clubs I join because I want to build that relationship with them. And I have had professors that have told the class like you may have this idea of science being done like one genius alone like solves the equation, but in the real world science is very seldom one person making the discoveries. It's always a team effort. So if you find a good team, then that will be a huge pro in your science journey.
Mm.
So within those teams, like you've probably been a part of like multiple teams throughout your
Mhm.
not just like research, but just like as a student as well. Um,
Yeah.
and do you feel like, especially in the field that you're in, I feel like in physics in general, there's a lot of underrepresentation in terms of like girls and women in that field, but in STEM in general, in your current lab or in your current setting, do you feel like there's an underrepresentation of females in the field, or is that not quite so?
In my classes, yes, it's a bit more male dominated, but not too drastic. I think in my high school classes, it was actually a more drastic shift. But I think since colleges are seeking to balance out the gender ratios and incorporate more diversity in STEM, my college classes are pretty well balanced. But in high school, it was sometimes tough with how few girls there were in my classes, but it definitely brought the girls closer together, which helped foster that like team environment. And then in my lab, I'm actually surprised that it's an opposite gender balance. In my particular applied physics lab, there's like it's not that opposite, but I think there's five female grad students and four males. Um, so it's a good balance generally here at Harvard, especially in physics and in applied physics. I think in the more theoretical spaces, it could be a bit more skewed. But in my classes, I haven't felt it be too skewed. It was more so in high school.
Mm. I mean, it's great to hear that, like, especially for us, in my experience as well, whenever you go to like physics classes, especially in high school, as you mentioned, I feel like the gender balance at first seems a little bare because you see so little girls and so many boys, but it's great to hear that, universities are trying to balance it out right now and they're trying to make sure that there's this sense of equity and this sense of balance throughout STEM fields, especially when I think there's certainly this stereotype about like, applied physics or like certain types of STEM that are more male dominated than females. So right now, admittedly, one of the hardest things of STEM is to choose the right fields of research. After all, it took you a long journey, right, to go
Yeah.
from
And
biology
I'm
to physics.
still deciding exactly what field yet.
I mean, I think it's really a fluid choice you got to make. You can't just stick with it. So, after all, research, as you said, it's just the process of this perseverance and passion that you got to put through. It's not easy, but you just got to push through it. So, what STEM would you like to recommend to young students out there? Like, and based on that STEM field, what would you recommend? Like, even as a kid, you can try to do to improve yourself and develop yourself to become a more mature researcher.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not like a one size fits all approach that everyone should go into the same field of STEM, but whatever excites each person the most and whatever they can picture themselves in that field for a very long time. And also going back to the team idea and collaboration, part of the reason I landed on physics was because I felt really like at home in the physics spaces here. Whereas now, like I mentioned, I'm taking a psychology class. It's also like a neuroscience class. And in that like bio space, I just feel like it's not as much where I belong. So I think like it's okay to listen to those like gut feelings, just like this is for me, this maybe not. Um, and let that kind of guide you. And then I think there was, oh, what can kids do to get involved? Yes, you can start that like super early because all these resources online, like from YouTube videos to like DIY instructions, like WikiHows. If you find things that make you really excited and curious online, like some of those resources, follow them and see how far you can go into your curiosity with that. And the deeper you go, and realizing that you like a particular field because you're interested in these like physics YouTube videos or WikiHows. Like my friends and I in high school followed a WikiHow to build a catapult for like pumpkin launching competition for Halloween because we just wanted to build a catapult and after we saw this WikiHow. Um, and experiences like that also convinced me that like physics was the right space for me. So I think it's about listening to what genuinely interests you, maybe instead of like what not your gut feeling, what like your head conscience is telling you to do. Like, I think part of my initial draw toward biology was just because my parents are doctors, and I felt like from this upper pressure that maybe that's what I should do. But then my gut feeling was more like, that's not really the space for me. So try to follow the gut feeling, which may be hard to find, but the more you explore what piques your particular curiosity, you will find it.
That's really great advice. I feel like the catapult building thing and WikiHow is just like a canon event in every kid's life.
So true.
The WikiHow especially, when you said WikiHow, I was immediate like I remember doing those WikiHow tutorials. And whenever I searched up some kind of insane experiment, there was always a WikiHow tutorial
I
that
know, right?
um, and some of them, like, I know that some of them are like a little faulty, like some of them don't work, but some of them, like a
Yeah.
lot of them, like if you tweak them a little bit, if you like realize, oh, that's not gonna work, we should find another replacement for it, it does end up working. How did that catapult turn out?
Um, I think it could have used some of those little tweaks. It wasn't great, but we did only have like 48 hours or so to build it. And we were maybe a little too ambitious with like the size we went for. But if we tried an attempt number two or three or four, I think we could have gotten it to a good spot. But we didn't.
No worries. There's a lot of I don't even want to call it failed attempts, but like there's like attempts that don't go as well before you get to that hotspot. And I feel like especially in STEM that requires a lot of attempts, like a lot of attempts.
Totally. But those attempts are like the main chunk of what research is and what doing STEM actually is, I think. Like also there's like this quote I've heard, like they wouldn't call it research if we knew what we were doing, because like you have to keep researching over and over because your searches are usually wrong.
Oh,
Um
research. Okay,
Mm.
that makes sense.
so like consider all the failed attempts like the research, like that is the process. So if you're failing, you're kind of doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even failure at this point. It's just a part of,
Yeah,
like your success. It's actually getting
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Um, so
Very
then
well said.
Uh, so then in the research field, I'm guessing that you've had a lot of those like hard experiences with like failure in general. Like, not that I want to call it failure, but there's a lot of times when you kind of want to give up, especially
Yeah.
because that process like feels endless to a certain extent. Um, do you have like any advice for people that have those experiences in research that are like, oh, like I might as well give up now, or oh, this is going nowhere, or I have no idea, absolutely no idea what I'm doing. What is your advice to them?
I think at that point, it's good to turn to your colleagues and your mentors, because when you're at that point of just wanting to give up on yourself, I think that's when you need an external source of help. And as good as the internet is and all the resources on there and AI resources now, when you're at that point of wanting to give up, I think you need another human to talk things through with and to give you advice. um, and that usually helps me a lot talking things through, even with not STEM related people. Like when I'm feeling really down, definitely like call my mom, call my siblings or people who don't know anything about my project, even my grandparents, and like rant to them, and just talking through what you're going through always helps.
I mean, that's like I feel like that you kind of need that outlet for sure. Like especially when you're
Mhm.
stuck in your own headspace, you kind of need some kind of break to kind of go a little bit outside of your box, I guess. So this one is this question is a little off and on a tangent, but imagine right now, because we don't have that much time, but I just want to really ask you this question. Imagine you are suddenly being sent off to outer space. If you could choose one thing to take with you, what would it be and why?
Wow, this is a tough question. I'm compelled to say like some sort of food item to be like my comfort food, like yogurt. I really like yogurt, but I'm not going to say that because then I would just like eat it the first like day and then I wouldn't have it anymore. And also like it could go bad if there's no refrigeration. So to say something a little more like long lasting that's gonna really get me through this space journey no matter how long it takes. I think I would take like some sort of music playing device. Like if I could take my phone as a whole, that'd be great. But I don't know if that's too much to ask because that's like a lot of subcomponents. But like something that could play music or just music, I would like to take because that's also a thing that helps me like when I feel like giving up, just taking my mind off things by like listening to whatever music it's the vibe and going for a walk or like now I've been listening to Christmas music and it just makes everything better. So I don't think I could survive the space journey without music. I'd have to take music.
That's an excellent choice. I'm extremely guilty of like whenever I'm stuck in the research process, I just like shut down my laptop. I go in the middle of my living room when no one's home, when no one's home, and turn on and just turn blast music in my headphones and just like dance randomly. And it ends up
Love
helping.
that.
It ends up helping. So those random things really do help. You have to.
Yes, I love that you mentioned like dancing randomly. I'm currently at Harvard Dance Center, actually. You can't see the background behind me, but I just had a dance rehearsal,
Oh,
which was why I was a little late to your meeting. But yeah, dance is amazing. Another great outlet and way to cope when you feel like giving up.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you danced as well. Oh, that's amazing. You really are interested in all sorts of things.
Yep, you never seem to choose just one thing.
No, but that's good. You only have one life to explore all of these things, right? So why not use it
So
to?
true.
Mm. So, lastly, lastly, did you have an aha, like, like a eureka moment when you decided, like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or was it more like a tumultuous, like challenging process that I know you said you're still choosing, but like was the process more short or was it like a longer process that made you think over the years? So because like I know a lot of boys and girls, including myself, this is like a million dollar question because it's so hard to like kind of persevere and stick to your choices. I think that's like something that's really difficult, especially in the research process. So for you, how has it been?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was one moment that convinced me like for sure locked in and then after that like no looking back, but it was like a gradual small eureka moment. I'd say like the first one was that physics class at RSI that I mentioned at the beginning that made me think, "Oh, maybe physics is my path, my future." Um but then I still wasn't sure because I have always been interested in so many things. So I applied to college like kind of all over the place, just telling schools that I am interested in a lot of things and I don't know exactly what I want to do with my life. But then throughout senior year of high school, as you have to like write more college essays that ask you what your interests are, I kind of narrowed it down more into this applied physics field. And then another eureka moment, if I like calling it that, even though I think these are like minor eureka moments, so not so aha, like this solves everything. But when I came to Harvard for the visiting students day, the physics department had like an open house where they had like nitrogen ice cream was their like physics fun event. Um, and it was just such a cool like space, and I really loved the people that I met there. The atmosphere was very encouraging, collaborative. That made me feel like socially I and like culturally I could belong in this space, even though I knew it would be difficult academically. Um, and then throughout my freshman year, I felt some of those academic difficulties. And so it's always been like a back and forth. Some events make me even more passionate about studying this field. But then when I'm, facing challenges of everyday work, there is some like doubt still. And I wonder which, particular field of my field I want to go into, which is very hard to choose. But all this to say, I think it's more of the gradual process. So like the latter part of your question. Um, and it is somewhat tumultuous, but every time there's some event that makes me feel again like, oh yes, this is why I chose physics. It is a little bit more of the like light bulb eureka, like the light bulb gets brighter a little bit
Mm.
um, day by day.
I mean, definitely. I feel like for me as well, personally, I feel like I love physics, but especially like even if you choose something like physics or like something like biology, you have those subfields that you kind of have to branch out to and explore to know everything. But then again, you can't know everything at once, so it's kind of
Yeah,
impossible to just choose one when you're so young. So I feel like,
exactly.
especially to, young viewers out there, it's just you got to understand that your choices aren't limited. You got to always be flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's still so much time in life to explore different fields. You can be 30 years old and still figuring out your exact career path. And I think that will be me.
I feel like that's going to be all of us. I think that's just the life of a researcher. Yeah.
Yes.
Precisely. Okay, so I know that you're extremely busy, so we do want to keep within the time, but this was absolutely amazing.